I got the phone call. Come get DJ Pooh. Q, come get me.
Some stories don't explode, they simmer. A hotel lobby in San Diego. A booking that didn't go through. A credit card reader that suddenly becomes the center of a felony case. And now, a judge says there's enough to move forward. Faizon Love, Friday. Elf, couples retreat. Isn't just trending. He's walking into an actual courtroom fight. He says he's not guilty. The clerk says she's still dealing with the fallout. And the internet? It's already shouting big worm before the jury even hears a word. This isn't just a headline. It's a timeline that could end in years behind bars or a complete reset. Let's pull it apart, piece by piece. The night starts simple. Check-in, third-party booking, no vacancy. That mismatch is the spark. According to the allegations, emotions surged. Words escalated. And then the object at the center of the story, the card reader, went airborne. The clerk says it hit her in the head. The prosecution calls it assault with a deadly weapon. Love's plea? Not guilty. This is the snapshot that prosecutors carried into court, and the one the defense is determined to reframe. What's important isn't just that something happened. It's how the law interprets it. A heavy device thrown in a crowded lobby turns into the phrase, deadly weapon, in an indictment. The same snapshot becomes two competing stories. One about intent and injury, the other about distance, direction, and doubt. But the criminal case isn't the only arena. Another fight opened almost immediately, one that speaks in dollars and diagnoses. Separate from the criminal charge, the clerk filed a civil lawsuit. Her claim: the device struck her head, broke her glasses, concussed her, and left her with light sensitivity and lingering issues. Civil court asks a different question than criminal court. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt, it's who's more likely than not. And it's not about prison, it's about damages. The filing gives her a microphone, sworn statements, and a paper trail for doctors, symptoms, and costs. In a civil case like this, words like concussion and light sensitivity aren't just medical notes, they're leverage. They can influence settlement talks and, indirectly, public opinion. They also raise the stakes for the defense, undermine the injury, or the narrative gets heavier. And then came the hearing that really set the tone. Not a verdict, but a judge's gatekeeping moment. The preliminary hearing is where prosecutors show the bones of their case. The judge listens, weighs, and decides whether there's enough to go forward. In this one, the clerk took the stand and described a scene that went from tense to dangerous. There were coworkers, a crowded lobby, and a device she says hit the side of her head. The defense pushed back hard. Love's attorney highlighted differences between what was said that night and what was said in court. Body camera moments compared against memories. The gap between what someone heard and what they actually saw. One witness reportedly conceded they didn't see the impact itself. These aren't small details. In close cases, they matter. Memory is slippery. Video is unforgiving. And judges, at this stage, aren't deciding guilt, only whether there's enough to let a jury decide later. Enough, the judge decided, was there. After hearing the testimony and the defense's challenges, the judge ruled there was probable cause to move forward. That finding doesn't crown a winner. It simply keeps the clock ticking. From there, the court arraigns the defendant again on what's headed to trial. Calendars get set, and both teams start planning for a marathon. Here, coverage from the courthouse placed this squarely on the path to a criminal trial. And the exposure isn't small. Under the charge statute and alleged injury enhancement, reporters note the maximum could reach 7 years if convicted. That number isn't a prediction, it's a ceiling. But in the public's mind, ceilings feel like headlines. While the legal machinery rolled on, Love jumped online, and the post he chose made the story even louder. On Instagram, Love referenced his iconic Big Worm character from Friday, calling for DJ Pooh and Ice Cube with a line that felt half joke, half signal. Come get Big Worm out. A San Diego County Sheriff's bus slid through the frame. It was short, catchy, and instantly meme-able. The exact kind of clip the internet eats in one bite. The effect? It reframed the conversation. Fans saw a nod to the movie, detractors saw deflection. But from a narrative standpoint, it did something smart. It centered Love's voice without saying much about the case. No legal claims, no case facts, just a cultural callback. In a story already living online, that's strategy. But online moments don't change court calendars. Deadlines do. Following the prelim, coverage indicated the case was set for trial in January 2026 after immediate in-court arraignment. That timeline tells you two things. First, both sides need months to dig in, motions, witness prep, expert reviews. Second, the civil lawsuit doesn't pause just because the criminal case moves. They can shadow each other, and what happens in one often echoes in the other. For Love, timing is a weapon and a risk. More time gives the defense space to test medical claims, scrutinize body cam footage, and probe witness inconsistencies. But time also stretches public attention. Every new clip, every quote, every out-of-context line will be folded into the jury pool's feeds. The longer the runway, the more turbulence you can get. Of course, prosecutors have their own arc, and it starts with a simple, sharp theme. Prosecutions through line. A normal customer interaction turned dangerous. A heavy object was thrown. Injury followed. That's a felony. They'll emphasize the risk to bystanders, the device's weight, and the clerk's medical records. Their best evidence is any video that supports trajectory and any medical documentation that tracks symptoms over time. Defense's counterline. This is a story with gaps, no clear angle of impact, conflicting statements, witnesses who didn't see the exact moment, and an alleged victim with a civil financial stake. Expect them to lean on forensic angles, distance, force, object weight, alternative interpretations of body cam audio, and expert opinions on concussion diagnostics, especially where symptoms are self-reported. What jurors may wrestle with: intent and impact. Was it thrown at someone or between people? Was the outcome foreseeable? And do the medical findings line up cleanly with the clock and the records? Or are there inconsistencies that create reasonable doubt? Layered on top of all that is context. Dangerous to overplay, but impossible to ignore. Back in 2017, Love pleaded no contest in a separate misdemeanor assault case involving a valet at the Columbus airport, receiving a suspended sentence and $500 fine. That's public record and widely reported. But courts are careful about this kind of context. Prior cases don't automatically decide current ones. Still, for the public, and sometimes for civil negotiations, history shapes perception. It sits in the background, humming. So where does this leave the story today? Culturally, Big Worm is a shortcut. One line, and the audience knows the face, the voice, the energy. That kind of recognition is both shield and spotlight. It can soften an image, but it also magnifies a case. Every update becomes shareable. Every hearing feeds a comment section that can tilt jury pools, complicate voir dire, and force both sides to litigate with an ear to the algorithm. Here's the part to remember. Love maintains his innocence and has pleaded not guilty. A judge has ruled the case can go forward, not that he's guilty. The clerk has a civil suit seeking compensation for alleged injuries. The trial is slated for January 2026, and coverage has repeatedly cited a maximum of 7 years if the jury convicts on the charged enhancement. That's the official map, no more, no less. Two realities can exist at once. A clerk saying the night changed everything, and a defendant saying the story is being pushed past the facts. Somewhere between impact and intention is where juries do their work. If the video and the testimony line up, the prosecution gains gravity. If the inconsistencies hold, the defense has room to maneuver. Which way do you see it leaning? Toward a clean narrative or a case full of reasonable doubt?